The plume and the pistol. A fitting end to my folly, and a curse upon us all.
And welcome back to more Darkest Dungeon. Episode 10, Week 19, getting underway. And we're starting off this week with a town event called Bumper Crop. Nearby farmers have banded together, increasing security in an effort to protect the healthy livestock and crops upon which the hamlet depends. Supply and provision costs are reduced by 100%. So for obvious reasons, this is a pretty valuable town event. You're able to load up on provisions and supplies at no cost for your next quest. And the triggering quest for this event always occurs in the Warrens. However, unlike the Silence in the Crypts or other bonus XP, bonus damage town events, this town event applies to any dungeon. Wherever you go on the next turn, your supply and provision costs are completely free. So it's a nice one to get. Alright, so for this week, just like last episode, we have a boss dungeon, and we're taking a Shieldbreaker in there, risking another nightmare sequence when we camp. And as you can probably guess from the title of the episode, that's what happens. And once again, you're probably wondering, why do you keep doing this? It's kind of risky. And you're right, but similar to last episode's party composition, I really like having the Shieldbreaker for this boss encounter. They have an attack that hits all 4 ranks all at once, and it has a chance to blight each of those ranks. And without saying any more and giving away the boss fight, let's just say for now that that's going to be a very useful attack to have. Now for the rest of the party, we're taking a Flagellant, a Houndmaster, and a Vestal. And I believe this is the first time you're getting to see the Flagellant class in action. And this is pretty big time. They're just a great class. They have a heal over time ability that can be cast on anybody. They do bleed damage and a little bit of area bleed damage. And they're pretty hardy and pretty fun. So I like using them, and I think you're going to enjoy watching them in action.
Fan the flames, mold the metal. We are raising an army.
Okay, and getting our furnace upgraded there some more. That's going to further reduce the cost of buying upgrades for each hero's weapon and armor. So as for abilities and kind of strategy, I already mentioned the Shieldbreaker has an ability, it's called Impale, which hits all 4 ranks and has a chance to blight. The Flagellant has an ability called Rain of Sorrows, which can hit the back 2 enemy ranks and cause bleed damage. And then the Houndmaster has an ability called Hound's Harry, and similar to the Shieldbreaker's Impale, it hits all 4 ranks and it causes bleed damage. So just from that, you can probably gather that we're going to be hitting multiple enemy ranks as much as possible, and we're going to be causing a lot of bleed and blight damage, which is damage over time, right? So this is kind of an area effect damage over time party, if you will. In addition to that, a lot of the Houndmaster's abilities do bonus damage versus beast enemy types, and there are certainly plenty of beast enemies in the Warrens, not to mention the snakes that you encounter during the Shieldbreaker nightmare flashbacks. Those are all beasts, so that extra damage from him will come in handy. And in addition, he's our stress healer for the group. And then as far as the Vestal goes, she's just playing a traditional role of healing and stunning. And with the addition of the flagellant and his backup heals over time, she'll have a pretty easy run of it. Now, trinket-wise, I'm generally using trinkets that increase a hero's maximum health. In addition, on the Shieldbreaker, I'm using a trinket that increases her chance to land a blight attack, because she's going to be doing a lot of blighting. And similarly, I'm using a trinket on the flagellant that increases his chance to bleed. And then here at the Survivalist, I'm purchasing a camping skill for Vadaville the Shieldbreaker called Adder's Embrace, and it will also increase her chance to land a blight attack. Okay, so that's our party. We're ready to go. And remember, all these supplies are free, so I'm just loading up on them, Devatron. Just taking as many as I can fit. If we have to destroy some later to make room for loot, no big deal. But it's free, right? So take as much as you can.
My zeal for blood rituals and summoning rites had begun to ebb, as each attempt invariably brought only failure and disappointment. Progress was halting, and the rapidly accumulating surplus of wasted flesh had become burdensome. The thing is more terrible than I can describe. An incoherent jumble of organ, sinew, and bone.
Alright, so here we go. Kill the Inchoate Flesh, Devatron. Let's have a look at the map. Easy map here. There's only one room it can be in the upper left corner.
Such blockages are unsurprising. These tunnels predate even the earliest settlers. The match is struck. A blazing star is born. Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home. As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Death by inches.
Alright, an awesome first fight, and you can immediately see just how effective the area effect, damage over time strategy is. The only caveat to that is that you need to be in a place like here where the enemies can easily be blighted and bled. Otherwise, the strategy doesn't work so well.
A handsome reward for a task well performed.
Okay, and a critical scouting roll there, revealing a secret door. So we'll definitely be heading over there to get that loot.
In Radiance, may we find victory. Great is the weapon that cuts on its own. Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all. Packs laden with loot are often low on supplies. As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms. Death waits for the slightest lapse in concentration. The slow death, unforeseen, unforgiving. Slowly, gently. This is how a life is taken.
Alright, so a couple more nice fights there. Shieldbreaker getting in a little bit of trouble, but she's got 2 stacks of the restoration heal over time on her now, so she'll be fine. Just so you know, it's the 3 little green dots above her health bar. And then second, there is a curio here. It's called a Bone Altar. It gives a really nice buff to offensive stats like damage and whatnot. However, I don't want to click it now because if we rest, then it'll be gone. So I'm going to go ahead and rest first and then click it later.
A moment of respite. A chance to steel oneself against the coming horrors.
Okay, and on to camping. You may have noticed the Shieldbreaker did her little bark. This time she said, "It writhes around my wrist." So once again, alerting us to the fact that we're going to get one of these nightmare flashback encounters. Okay, and camping skill-wise, we prevented a nighttime ambush. we buffed the Shieldbreaker's chance to blight. We also buffed her max hit points and her protection. And then she also used an ability which gives her companions some armor penetration to their attacks, which allows them to bypass enemy protection.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it. Moans and cries, lost in the darkness. The beast, the greater the glory. A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Such loveliness belongs in the palace, they say, and so my hands are tied, and I am put in a caravan next to golden idols and jeweled icons. Together, we are a priceless cargo of dazzling rarities, bound for the vizier's treasury. I know this tyrant's reputation, and I am afraid. Alright, so another successful nightmare flashback, although at the usual cost of our Shieldbreaker taking massive stress damage. And reward-wise, some of the usual stuff as for the Shieldbreaker trinket. It's a pretty decent trinket called Dancer's Foot Wraps, mostly because it increases speed by 2. And then we get one of the Aegis scales, which is always cool. So here I checked the map to see if we need any shovels to get to the boss, because it's already been scouted, I could see. And I realized we don't, so I'm able to delete the shovels and make more room. And then next we're going to interact with the bone altar, and you'll notice here that It increases damage, accuracy, and crit until you camp next. So a really great buff to have going into a boss fight. And on into the secret room we discovered. Just like last time, I forgot to snuff the torch out before I opened the chest. But also like last time, we still ended up getting a decent haul. 2 of the very valuable gemstones and then a very rare trinket. And like usual, I'm forced to make tough decisions about which inventory items to delete in order to make room for this yummy treasure.
The promise of safety. Precision and power. Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
And a perfect surprise round, Devatron. Nice stuff. All enemies dead before they had a chance to do anything. Big time.
Glittering gold, trinkets and baubles, paid for in blood.
Alright, so we've just about arrived. Gonna top off, delete the food, make room for this journal page, and then get in there to face the Inchoate Flesh, Devatron.
Squirming, contorting, and ever-expanding. This horror must be unmade. Decisive pummeling. masterfully executed. It is as grotesque in death as it was in life. As victories mount, so too will resistance.
Oh yeah, big time, Devatron. Inchoate Flesh is down. Alright, let's have a look at this haul, Big Dev. Not many items, but with the quest reward, over 13,000 gold. Not bad, not bad. A decent amount of heirlooms. And 4 XP for everybody. Valance, up to level 3 now. Let's have a look at our quirks. Unerring. An amazing quirk, but not for a flagellant. So that's kind of a waste. Beast Hater's really good, especially on our Shieldbreaker. Automatonophobia, that's not so great. We're going to have to get rid of that one. Darkest Dungeon, Devatron. Inchoate Flesh down. The first round of Warren's bosses down. We'll see you in the next episode.